Hola amigos, ¿qué tal? El señor Briggs aquí. I'm going to go and get something from the chemist. Voy a ir a buscar algo a la farmacia. So while I drive there, mientras manejo hacia allá, we can talk a little bit in Spanish. Podemos hablar un poquito en español. I'm going to tell you a story, a really interesting story. Te voy a contar una historia muy interesante. It's a little bit late, es un poco tarde, ya es de noche, it's already nighttime. So instead of just filming my face, I'm going to film the road in front of me. Voy a filmar la calle frente a mí, así me acompañan. Okay, so we'll film there in the way. Okay, vámonos. Un vehículo se aproxima. A vehicle is coming. Dos vehículos se aproximan. Two vehicles are coming. Alrighty, let's go. Muy bien, vamos. So while you enjoy this beautiful Australian evening, I'll tell you a story about a friend that I used to have. And I say I used to have, solía tener. Solía tener means I used to have, because unfortunately I did lose touch with him. He was an amazing guy, really good friend. He was way older than me. He was probably 25 years older than me, but he was extremely close to me and my family. We're really, really good friends. I looked up to him like a second father. And this guy was extremely intelligent. He actually was a gifted man. I remember the first time I met him, it was probably 30 years ago. We went to an observatory, an astronomical observatory. Fuimos a un observatorio astronómico. And I remember this guy, his name was Roger. Roger was talking to another friend of mine called Hugo. And what I could tell from where I was, he had a perfect Spanish accent, a Castilian accent, which is the accent from the region of Castilla de Leon, places like Madrid, where Spanish was first spoken originally. And a very well polished Spanish. So just to give you an idea, think about the type of English spoken by Queen Elizabeth. And I met him. He was very, very polite, very warm. Hello, nice to meet you. He told me with a Castilian accent. And I asked him immediately, so what part of Spain are you from? I was expecting him to tell me Toledo, Madrid, or even Salamanca. And then he told me, I'm from Geelong. I could not believe it, because Geelong is a small city not too far from Melbourne here in Victoria, Australia. Probably about an hour from here, not even. And then I thought, well, he's probably referring to the fact that he moved from Spain and he's living in Geelong. No, I once again asked him, I mean, yeah, I know you live in Geelong, okay, but where in Spain are you from? And he told me, I'm actually Australian. I was absolutely dumbfounded. I could not believe it. His level of Spanish was of a very high standard. He was extremely well articulated and coherent. His pronunciation was pretty much just like a native. And it is so difficult, and I'm sure a lot of you know this. I do know this because I speak English with a Spanish accent. It's very hard for me to get rid of it because I learned English after I turned 17 years of age. But this gentleman spoke Spanish like a native. And I started talking to him, and he actually began to tell me his life story. He'd never been to Spain. He'd never been to any Spanish-speaking country. But nonetheless, he had a fascination for languages. And it didn't take me long to find out that he also spoke Arabic perfect, French. I think we got Batman driving in front of me. Some people enjoy the loud noises, los ruidos altos. I'm not one of them, but anyway. Back to the story, de vuelta a la historia. Nunca visitó un país de habla hispana, ni siquiera un país árabe o francés o ruso, y sin embargo hablaba 5 idiomas perfectamente. Tenía un amigo también que era de Croacia. My goodness, I got mixed up. See what happens when you get a bilingual brain, boys and girls? Amigos, I got mixed up. I started talking to you in Spanish completely. I just did it on the spot without thinking. I was saying that he was able to speak approximately 5 languages perfectly well, and even Croatian. I had another friend who was Croatian, and he told me that this guy was amazing at the way he had mastered the Croatian language. So he was a gifted individual who had never visited any of these countries. So why am I telling you this story? Is because I think it's an excellent example which proves that even though you may be surrounded by English speakers only, you may not have the chance to travel overseas, you can still learn a language. So I find out how he did it. And what this gentleman did, he was a very religious person, very spiritual. He attended different congregations. So for a couple of years, he attended the Spanish congregation. When he arrived there, his Spanish was very low. He actually got very involved in the congregation's activities. He became obsessed with the Spanish. He got immersed in the language. He made really good friends. He got involved with the church activities, and before you knew it, he was fluent. He was 100% nearly like a native speaker. It was 100% fluent in the Spanish language. And the reason why I hesitate a little bit to say this is because I'm just looking back and thinking about this gentleman even giving speeches and talks in such an eloquent, well-structured manner. It was a real example to many people. So it is possible. Then once he actually acquired Spanish, he moved to the Arabic congregation, French congregation, etc. He would spend there a couple of years, but he would really go full on. He would really immerse himself into this sub-world, we could say, because all these churches that he visited were part of mainstream churches, but he would actually attend the ethnic congregations, and that's how he absorb the language. I'm just gonna go and get the medication from the chemist warehouse, and I'll be right back. Okay, regresé. I have come back. Okay, so where were we? I was telling you about Roja. Okay, I'm going to turn, actually enjoy the nice view out there. So story cut short, Roja's story demonstrates that to learn a language, you don't have just to focus in reading books or attending expensive lessons. It does help, obviously, and there is a place for grammar books and textbooks in the language acquisition process as well, if you want to speed it up. However, Roja demonstrated that by getting involved in your community and even in your spiritual activities, if you're a spiritual person, you can actually learn a language. The story also demonstrates that you need to practice, you need to truly immerse yourself in the language by associating and spending time with people who speak the language. That helps a lot. Now, Roja, every time he attended the church, he would be singing the same songs over and over again. So repetition played an important role. Whenever he heard the prayers in the service, he would hear similar words, which would reinforce key vocabulary, and he would eventually absorb the syntax of the language sentences. he also made a lot of good friends that he preserves to this date. As I know, I haven't seen him in a while. I lost touch with him, but I've spoken with other people who keep in touch with him. He became a very well loved person within the Spanish-speaking community, and also in the other ethnic communities. So he turned one of his passions, which was languages, and combined it with his faith, and it worked incredibly well. Every time he attended a church service, it was pretty much like an intense lesson, an immersion program in his city. And mind you, Spanish is not widely spoken here in Melbourne, Australia. There's a community, there's a lot of people from different Spanish-speaking countries, which also helped Roger because he was exposed to different dialects of Spanish. So when he started attending the meetings in the Spanish congregation, he would hear talks given by Chileans, by Mexicans, Spaniards, Argentinians, Salvadorians, Uruguayans, and so on. So immersion in the language was very rich. He also has an extremely deep and profound understanding of some of the differences between one dialect and the other. So this is a really good food for thought for you to think about ways in which there could be a community of Spanish speakers in the area where you live. It doesn't have to be a church. It could be a social club. Some people enjoy different types of hobbies. Gaming is huge. There's a lot of people that enjoy playing video games, and they joined community groups in which they play their favorite video games in the target language. Other people attend meetings to exchange opportunities to practice different languages, and that helps also. So the point is that we gotta keep our ojos abiertos, our eyes open, and look for opportunities. In the case of Roger attended this church 3 times a week, and that was pretty much a full-time course, because he would attend each service, which went for approximately 2 hours. They would do a lot of Bible reading. Now, the Bible is written in an extremely formal way, a formal manner. You can also be exposed to Old Spanish, which enriches your knowledge of Spanish. But they also read other Bible-related publications, which were written in today's contemporary Spanish. He would get invited by some of the friends of his attending the church. He would get invited to have dinner with certain families from El Salvador. So he had the opportunity also to experience the culture. I remember he used to love pupusas. The pupusas are made of melted cheese and beans and tamales. He absolutely loved it. Another night he'd be invited to go and have dinner with Chilean family. He would have empanadas de pino, which is a delicious empanada of meat. I strongly recommend you to try it, because most people connect the Spanish with tacos or tapas from Spain, but the Spanish-speaking world is it's a universe. You got different countries, different cities, different regions, and each region has their own cuisine. And I have to say that Chilean empanadas are amazing. I don't understand how come they're not that popular around the world, because they're really, really delicious. You got the cheese one as well, with melted cheese, delicious. He also enjoyed the Argentinian barbecue, el asado argentino. He loved it. He absolutely loved going to church. He loved socializing. He also felt very happy because he was able to assist and help people in the community. Remember, he mentioned to me that he was giving a privilege, they used to call it, the privilege to visit some of the elderly Spanish speakers who were living alone or were actually in nursing homes. And he told me the story of this gentleman called Carlos, who was in a nursing home, and unfortunately he had no relatives. He was all alone here, and Roger would go and spend a couple of hours with Carlos. They would have tea with little cakes, and Carlos would remember his days in Spain when he was young before he moved to Australia, and they developed such a beautiful relationship and friendship. And Roger was helping Carlos with company, socializing with him, caring for him, because he would look after him. If Carlos needed anything, Roger would actually make sure he would drop by, buy some of his favorite cakes for him, and Carlos would be so happy. He would look forward to seeing Roger once a week, visiting him. And at the same time, Roger benefited because he would actually absorb some of Carlos' Spanish, which was of a very high standard, because Carlos had been a university lecturer in his younger days back in Spain, and he was very well spoken, a very knowledgeable, cultured man. He could talk about any topic, any topic out there. He knew. He had a saying. He was an encyclopedia, if you know what I mean. So Roger immersed himself in the language by working also in the community with these congregations. So perhaps check around where you live. There could be a community that could actually help you as well to improve your Spanish and will give you opportunities to widen out, make new friends, and also to fill the gap if you feel spiritual and you need a bit of a spiritual minded material. So if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Sorry for this informal video. This is a new format that I'm actually experimenting with, and hopefully you guys will like it. I'll see you next time. Adios, amigos.